Oh, am I gonna be able to find something? No, no, no. I do. I've used it. I used it, but I was like, today was such a crazy day. I think I've got to. Yeah, I gave you the big one. I've got the big one too, I think. What? I have to start? Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Can you hear me? I can barely hear I hear myself now. Yeah, Shabbat Shalom. Oh, I have no control of this crowd. All right, so let's gently stop talking in the back. I could name you individually, but I don't want to embarrass anyone in the room. So come have a seat. We're going to be using Mishkan Tefillah, the only prayer book you have in your pews right now. But before that, as you're well aware, we're in the. You guys don't have any. Okay, thank you. Good. We have 120 copies. I don't think we have 120 in the room. And there should be more on the back table if we run out or you don't see them. So during the month of Elul, as you all know, we prepare for Shabbat. And I gave a sermon a year or two ago that was inspired by a conversation I had with Rabbi Uri Hersher, the emeritus director of the Skirball Museum in Los Angeles. And he talked about during this month that there would be someone with a loud clapper that would, or two large pans that would go through these small villages and just yell out to everyone in the villages, "Get ready, it's coming!" And it was a really serious matter in those days to get ready for the High Holy Days because they are the Yamim Noraim, the most awesome and frightful days. They're very scary for some people. And so we have to really think very diligently about, we have to think about what we did last year, but at some point, and I won't give it away because I can't remember if I gave this sermon about luggage years ago here at Temple Emmanuel, like 30. Anyone remember my sermon from 34 years ago? Okay.
No, I would have been 12.
All right. So I'll just tell you because I won't give it again. So I think I had a pile of luggage covered up with a blanket, and before I started my sermon, I threw off the blanket. You saw this luggage, and I said, "This is what you've been carrying around for a year. Just let it go. Just let it go." Because we want to start with a clean slate. So we're going to allow Karen Heller, we're going to call Karen Heller up to shake us up and to leave whatever shakes off of us. Just let it go, and let's start brand new.
Tekiah, Shavarim, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah,
Yashkoach.
I love to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I love to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year, Tekiah. Shvarim,
Shvarim,
Teruah,
Teruah.
I love to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I love to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Happy, happy, happy New Year.
Cha-cha-cha. That's from the cantor. She taught me that. I figured it's a cantorial ending. So as I mentioned, we're going to be using Mishkan Tefillah tonight for those who are joining us on virtual platforms. Just a reminder to you, if you have names for our Mishaberach list or our Kaddish list, send them to JJ in the chat or in the comment section on whatever platform that you're on. Now we invite Dr. Sandok and Dr. Sandok to light our candles this evening. They will be beginning with one of the readings on page 3, and the blessing for the candles is on page 2.
As these Sabbath candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As our brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbos.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you. We continue on page 12 with Lechu Neranena. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, nekadma fanav betoda. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai.
One of the other traditions during Elul is to each and every day read from Psalm 27. So I just read just a short passage from part of it. God is my light and my refuge secure. Whom shall I fear? God is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Just one thing I have asked of God, only this do I seek, to dwell in God's house all the days of my life, to behold divine sweetness and beauty, and to gaze in delight at God's temple. Oh, we get the 27th Psalm a little bit later too, but you get the translation now. So we're going to continue now with Lecha Dodi on page 20 through 21.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, פני
got it.
שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי. כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise to greet the Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. Two angels follow me home, chesed and gevurah, kindness and judgment, love and discipline, may both dwell within me. Gentleness and generosity, they expand my soul, firmness and self-restraint that strengthen me to say no. On this day, shalom, may I have shalem, to become well-balanced and whole. We continue with Chesed Kaddish on page 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני,
seated. We continue on page 30 in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokma poteach sharim uvitvuna mishanei itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmorateim barakia kirtzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshek v'choshek mipnei or umavir yom umevi laila umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzavaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch alenu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 32. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down, when we rise up, we'll meditate on your laws and your commandments. We'll rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we'll rejoice in them, for they are our life and the length of our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch
Shem kavod, malachuto, leolam vaed.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternal Egypt, and that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, Yorah te'ilot osef eleh, Malechutecha ra'u vanecha, Mokei hayam lifnei Moshe, Zeili anu
Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes, that sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere like a shadow or a friend. We continue with Vishamru on page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש.
They don't have it right.
What?
שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Get whoever that was in the choir.
You.
Page 46, the Standing Amida. Please rise. Page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasei Avot v'imahot, U'mevi Gula libnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo b'Yahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim,
סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue silently through page 62, either sitting or standing. to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai. One thing, I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all of my life. One thing, I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all of my life.
The translation of Psalm 27, verse 4, that was just sung. One thing I ask of Adonai, only that do I seek, to live in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai and to frequent God's temple. For those who know, who've been to enough funerals, know that the 23rd Psalm gives you the answer on how you live in God's house, and that's to allow God's goodness and compassion to be part of your life every single day. For those who are joining us on virtual platforms, a reminder to send us the names of anyone you wish to be included in our healing prayer in a few moments. But until then, we invite Dr. Ken Sandock, who will be providing our drash for this evening.
Hello. Now, if only I can read and talk at the same time. My calling came recently. Last Sunday morning, the Lord sent a messenger to appear before me in the room behind you to present an opportunity. Think of the Malachi when we sing Shalom Aleichem. She asked if I could do the drash for Friday. I replied, I could do something. She said, close enough. We are now in the waning days of our journey from Egypt to the Promised Land and the days of Moses' direct leadership. Moses instructs the people as to what's to come after the crossing. To paraphrase Caesar, omnes Canaan and partes tres divisa est. Today's parsha is divided into three parts. 1, what to do to show gratitude for God for the land which I have given you. 2, what to do to continue to keep and enjoy the land. And 3, what to don't do to keep and enjoy the land. We shall cover the opportunity provided by the latter choices. As is standard throughout the Torah, there is a dichotomy of doing good, Yetzer HaTov, and choosing the path of evil, Yetzer Hara, as with the Essenes in darkness. God gives the opportunity of which to pursue. There are more negative choices than positive, as illustrated by the 10 Commandments above my head, with the 7 Lameds making life more perilous. The negative consequences make the 10 plagues pale in comparison, and also Sheldon's Yiddish curses. The dates of compilation of Deuteronomy may be before or after the exile, and these may reflect events that have transpired. I learned many things I did not know existed then in enumerating the blessings and the curses, the variety of plants, animals, metals, and possessions. Who knew you could get maladies foot to head, including madness, consumption, hemorrhoids, and the Egyptian affliction, which is parasites. Also, being surrounded by drought and sand is a consequence. Many of the blessings require personal attestation followed by amen, but it's not always better to say amen than think for yourself. What's next? You'll hear next month the passage, often the only one many hear within the year, after the 10 days which you have had the opportunity of choice for next year. As with my last drosh, and probably the majority of others, piety pays and sin suffers. You have the opportunity of obtaining blessings or suffering the consequences. Wishing you a good fast and Lashana Tova.
Shana Tova. Thank you, Dr. Sandok. We continue now with offering names of those individuals who need healing of body, soul, and spirit. So if there, let me just see if we have anyone. Yes, so we include in our prayers this evening Louis Fry and Yolette Fry. And in addition to those names that you see there, Fran Bakewell, Ad Shinaberry, Mohammed Khan, and Norma Brewster. If there are those in our sanctuary who have names to add to our Mishaberak list, you may raise your hand and mention them at this time. Stan. Thank you. Jean. Thank you. Lori. Thank you. Andy. Thank you. Thank you. Joy. Thank you. Howard. Thank you. Bobby. Thank you. Kim. Thank you. Way in the back? Was there someone? Okay. Anyone else? Yes. Thank you. So our Mishaberak prayer can be found on page 253, and you may rise physically or spiritually. Mishaberak Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu, Mekor HaBracha Avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated.
So when Dr. Ken Sandok came to talk to me earlier this week, and we were passing each other in the hallway talking about good and evil, and I forgot to tell you one experience I had regarding evil. A direct experience, because when I was at Hebrew Union College in New York, I took an elective with Rabbi Dr. Eugene Borowitz, who is a very eminent Jewish philosopher, really one of the most famous ones in the 20th century, in the modern period, and the elective was all about the philosophy of evil. and very eminent scholar, eminent rabbi, but he started the class with the comment, you know, this class will be all about the existence of evil. And he made a really evil face. And of course, everything from that moment was much more academic and august, but he could not resist that moment of levity right at the beginning. But since Queen Elizabeth II died, almost every single person that I've encountered in Tucson has asked me if I'm feeling sad. And it's at times like this I feel more British than American. Most days I go about my routine and don't think about my national status, but when certain big events happen like the London Olympics or Brexit, I'm reminded of the land of my birth and the fact that despite my family's long experience in America, I'm still somewhat of an outsider. And on the face of it, it makes no sense for any of you to ask if I'm sad about the Queen's death. I certainly didn't know her personally. I was never invited for tea at Buckingham Palace, much less Windsor Castle or Balmoral. And nevertheless, Queen Elizabeth has been an ever-present in my life. She was on my coins and my notes and my stamps growing up. And even though our family did not celebrate Christmas in any religious sense, we would gather around the television on Christmas Day at 3 p.m. sharp to listen to the Queen's speech, her annual address to the nation. I've heard other people describe her as a grandparent they never knew, but who was just kind of there in the background, a comforting presence. Now, I have personally, as a recovering British citizen, seen how the royal family has helped bring in millions of pounds to Britain for tourism, and through their patronage, many more millions for charitable organisations. But on top of all these positive associations, it's fair to say, and this might be a huge understatement, that there are obvious, clear, problematic elements related to any monarchy, let alone the British one. The concept of a hereditary ruler is patently undesirable, based as it is on blood, not merit. And the damage which the British Empire did to countless countries, not least on these fair shores, is considerable and long-lasting. I also believe it was a mistake for the Queen never to visit Israel, even though members of her family did. And furthermore, there are still questions about the conduct of other members of the royal family, along with important British national discussions about the use of public funds. In talking about the Queen this evening, I don't wish to minimise that reality, but I believe it's important to distinguish between the individual figure of Elizabeth and the history of the institution at large, while offering a few Judaism-related lessons. So let me say I've no quarrel with those who do not wish to mourn the Queen's passing, or who are angry at the institutions of the royal family and British Empire. But if my wife Sarah was offering these remarks, she'd suggest two lessons. Firstly, that Queen Elizabeth II was important because of the continuity she provided. Her tenure spanned many decades and many more British prime ministers and governments. They'd come and go, and she would remain. There was nothing new under the sun for Elizabeth Windsor. Every crisis or national issue had already happened at least once in most cases. Now, I was never a fly on the wall for meetings between the Queen and those prime ministers, but I'd like to hope they gained something from her sense of perspective. And as Jews, we remember the events of our lives, but we also have a sense of the grand sweep of history and of Jewish experience. When we ask each other as Jews, what was our first memory? We should answer on some level, our first memory is crossing the Sea of Reeds or receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai, regardless of either of those events actually happened. This long memory is shared by a long-serving monarch who, if they use their position for good, can offer the benefit of their protracted national memory. And when certain national problems seem novel, someone with more perspective can offer an alternate view. Secondly, and this is certainly not shared by every monarch, Elizabeth was known for her ethic of service to the people. In Hebrew, we use the word avodah, service, to relate to sacrifice in the temple in Jerusalem, or as a way of thinking about prayer directed at the divine realm. In her case, she was keenly aware of her position of privilege and wealth, but instead of viewing the people of Britain as her lowly subjects, she understood her elevated situation demanded duty, not entitlement, obligation rather than unadulterated enjoyment of riches. And lastly, and this is my insight, I feel like she, or at least her speechwriters, took account of the Talmudic principle of puk chazi, go see what the people are doing. The rabbis of the Talmud, when they weren't sure what to decide in a particular case, would go out and look at what people were doing in the street or the marketplace to see what societal norms were already established. When my family and I would settle down on Christmas Day at 3 p.m. sharp to listen to the Queen's speech, she'd make it clear that she and her handlers had picked up on the mood of the country. Whether the issue of the day was religion or race, war or peace, pandemic or poverty, she'd show with a few chosen words that she got it. That even with her great privilege, she could still see clearly the people whom she served. Two things can be true at once. You can mourn Queen Elizabeth II's death while at the very same time hoping that the oppressive vestiges of colonization and empire will be expunged. We are sophisticated enough to hold both of those together at the same time. And part of mourning Queen Elizabeth II is that I'm mourning someone who was just there all of the time. Her passing means that certain stable foundations of society, or at least on the face of it, shaken. British society will of course go on, and of course British people will make comments on the suitability or lack of it of King Charles III, and the world will keep turning. But there will be a sense of loss for some of us. As the Jewish community will have a particular perspective, we'll appreciate the Queen's sense of history, her ethic of service, and a willingness to attempt to understand the people she served. We had Jewish kings, but they rarely behaved in a manner commensurate with demands of the Torah. In spite of all that, as a British rabbi in America, I think of the land of my birth, cast a wistful eye across the ocean, and wish Zichrona Livracha, may her memory be for a blessing. Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to invite Seth Ruskin, our president of Kol Ami, to give you a preview of coming attractions.
Shabbat Shalom. This isn't high enough. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Rabbi Lockheim, Rabbi Cohen, cantorial internist Sarah Bolt for leading services this evening. I want to thank all who helped with services tonight. Chris with the piano, JJ and Will in the back behind the scenes. I'd like to thank Beverly and Ken Sandock for lighting the candles, and also Ken for his drosh. To Karen Heller for sounding the shofar, and I'd like to thank Lynn Ray Lowe for her flowers from her garden on the bima tonight, in honor of her beloved husband Buck and her dear friend David Woods. And I'd like to thank you all for coming to services tonight. You make us Kol Ami, a home for joyful Judaism for all. Tomorrow, Torah study will take place at 8:30 a.m., followed by Shabbat services at 10. Join the clergy tomorrow at 7:30 p.m., so in the evening, for Slichot. This is a moment for us to prepare for the high holidays. If you haven't already renewed your membership in Kol Ami, I encourage you to do so as soon as possible. If you're a member of Kol Ami and have registered for in-person attendance at our services, you will be receiving your tickets in the mail soon. If you have questions, please call the office. Please join us on Monday at 6:30 p.m. at the Alvernon campus farewell and desanctification. We will share memories and farewell rituals as we say goodbye to the former Or Hadash campus on Alvernon Way. On behalf of the clergy, staff, and the Board of Trustees, please stay safe and healthy. Shabbat Shalom.
So if we're doing joyful Judaism here, we need to talk about the positive, uplifting moments as well as the difficult ones. And so it's an important tradition to talk about good things that have happened in the past week. And so one good thing that happened was to my daughter, Rachel. Her friend from Las Vegas, Julian, reached out and said, we're going to Disneyland for the end of October. We'll just meet you there, right? You can arrange that. I mean, they're 11 years old. And certainly, speaking of Rachel, her handle on logistical arrangements is tenuous at best. But I appreciated the fact that a friend from so far away was reaching out in the spirit of love and kindness. I'd love to hear from maybe 2 or 3 people, just briefly, something good that happened to you this week. It would be really nice to hear something. And I'll repeat for the people. Yes, Lynn Ray. What did you send up there? So you said, so it was worth sending your artwork up there, right?
Oh, absolutely, and it got there safely. It's just the cost of doing business.
Yeah. That is beautiful. It's up there, marking your husband's memory. Yes, Howard.
Last week, our son who was in the Navy became chief.
Your son who was in the Navy became chief. Wow. Amazing.
He's a naval instructor. He lives in just outside of Kenosha, Wisconsin, on a local place. And so we're excited. In all likelihood, he's going to become the director of the electronic systems program at the Great Lakes Naval Training Center. Second thing.
Wow. A director of electronic systems at that naval center.
If you met him, you would never guess that that's where he would go.
And you had something else.
Yes, and one more thing.
Yeah. Have at it. Lovely.
Went back to California. Our youngest nephew got married on Saturday, and so we now have a new member to the Haley Maurer family. So we're excited about that.
Lovely. So you're young, just to repeat for the folks at home, the youngest nephew got married, new member of the family. Wonderful. Can we maybe get one from this side of the room? Oh, 2. We got Joel and Chris. Joel, go for it. What's that?
At SpaceX. His son's working at SpaceX.
Your son's working at SpaceX, absolutely, who's an aircraft mechanic. Amazing. And Chris, our pianist, tell us something good from the past week.
Well, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of this piano. It was 10 years ago this last week that this piano came back from the restorer. It was completely rebuilt and refinished, and even some wonderful gifts from several congregants organized by Dick Flawasser and given in memory of Louisa's brother. We were able to get this beautiful piano restored and put back into completely working modern shape.
So, for those of you at home, the 10th anniversary of this wonderful piano that Chris plays being brought back to working life. All wonderful reasons to celebrate, and on that basis, we're going to sing the Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen.
to give a heads up to the online part of our community. Now would be the moment to share in the comments section the names of your beloveds to mention for Kaddish. Aleinu is on 282. Please rise.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה, ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Be seated. I will invite anyone who's here observing the art site, the death of a loved one, if you'd like to come down to the front, take one of these stones, weigh it carefully and thoughtfully in your hand as you contemplate the life of your loved one. Before Kaddish, we mentioned those who died this past week. Estelle Abrams, Estelle's late husband was Martin, mother of Nancy Goodman, Jeffrey Dorfman, grandchildren, Joshua Robert, Melissa, Michelle, William, Caitlin, great-grandchildren, Jaron and Kayla, Eshel, and Hayden, many beloved nieces and nephew. Think of David Woods, Mishpocha for Lynn Ray Lowe, and those who died within the past 30 days, Erwin Sattinger, Stephen Parks, Ros Stein, Arnie Richmond, Alan Komensky, Leonard Baines, Alan Daniels, Pamela Marie Bertrand, those whose yahrzeits are observed this week, Dorothy Edelman, Ephraim Alfu, Rosalie Baker, Erwin Benjamin, Martin Berman, Donald Brown, Morris Brownstein, Dora Capin, Ray Charlson, Matilda Chikiar, Joyce Colton, Marge Danes, Rudolph Eisner, Jenny Franklin, Agnes Fuglein Hunt, Marvin Gold, Julius Goodman, Michal Gritsevsky, Celia Hesselson, Harold Hirschberg, Louis Iselin, Edith Iserson, Samuel Camerow, Molly Keeval, Manuel Koenig, Harry Krantz, Joseph M. Kurowski, Sam Lessman, Julius Lesser, Minnie Levine, Buck Lowe, Maxine McLean, Connie Meinig, David Miller, Ida Okrent, Friedeline Potter, Ida Pugach, Eric Ratner, Sarah Reich, Jerry Riley, David Rosenblatt, Arthur Schiffman, Beth Schrantz, Joseph Sherry, Rose Schiffner, Jenny Siegel, Dorothy Siegelman, Nathan Silverman, Ava Smith, Bud Teufel, Bud Thurston, Doris Tucker, Al Tunick, Leslie Varady, Murray Waldstein, Michael Weiss, Irving Wilpan, and Stephen Wright Craig. Would everyone please rise to support the mourners, as on page 294 we say, Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ba'ama divrach Yerutei v'yamnech malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam alalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitada v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shemei d'kudeshah brichu, Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran ba'ama v'imru. Yehei shalom araba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
I apologize if I didn't ask for names from people in the sanctuary. Is there anyone we should mention in addition to those we already mentioned? Yes, Lenny. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Ve'imru, 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 amen. Ve'imru, 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 amen. Tradition tells, you can be seated. Tradition tells us that when you go home from services this evening, 2 angels will accompany you. And when they get to your house and they look in the window, if the house is clean and the table is set, then the good angel says, "May this Shabbat be as next Shabbat," and the bad angel has to say, "Amen." But if the house is a mess, and there's laundry on the couch, and everything is a mess, and there's no table set for Shabbat, then the bad angel says, "May this Shabbat be as next Shabbat," and the good angel has to say, "Amen."
You just moved in.
So we turn to page 323, and we sing together, "Shalom Aleichem." Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
If there's anyone who come to Colombe for the first time, can you just make yourself known to us, if you don't mind? Anyway, yes, hi. Where are you coming from? Philadelphia. Okay. Now you live in Tucson. It's wonderful. Please come up and say hello after the service. We'll meet you in the back. And also, just internally, if you don't know the people around you who are grabbing a cookie next to you, then go over, introduce yourself, and see how their week was. I'm sure it will be appreciated. Kiddush is on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. Shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit, ki hu yom tefillah l'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'siyat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Lucky corner.
But shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
We'll see you back there.